My name is Nancy Tanner, and in 1984 I made a very bad choice, one that I deeply regret each day of my life. I was estranged from my first husband, raising two young children as an elementary school teacher. I wanted to protect the ones I loved from an unplanned pregnancy. But there was no way that I could have the baby whose father told me it was my choice, but that he would give me the money for an abortion. That was not the response I wanted to hear. Everyone I turned to told me I needed to get an abortion, and I did. And instead of the quick and easy fix they had promised, it was anything but. My abortion sent shockwaves of pain in every direction. The actual experience itself was brutal. I felt as if my insides were being ripped apart, and the doctor took the jar that held the product of conception, dumped it on a tray in front of my eyes, and then yelled at me that he could not find all of the baby's body parts. I was only 6 weeks pregnant. At that moment I wanted to die, and I decided to bury the experience and never let it affect me or anyone else in my life. But that's not what happened, for no matter how I tried, I couldn't. After a brief period of relief, I found myself falling into a very deep depression. I became self-loathing, anxious, detached from those that I loved. I tried to ease the pain I felt in all kinds of behaviors that were self-destructive. My relationships with my parents and my children suffered as I distanced myself. Who could love me after what I had done? And at my lowest point, when I no longer wanted to live, I discovered that God still loved me. Mary, the mother of Jesus, pulled me from the pit I was in and led me to her son and to healing. I began praying at abortion mills and counseling women not to have abortions, but I could never admit to anyone what I had done and that I had had an abortion myself. The consequences of my abortion rippled on. I married the father of the aborted baby. Sorry. But no matter how hard we tried, we were not able to deal with that wedge that was between us. Intimacy and trust issues plagued our marriage. We were blessed with 2 more daughters, but I always missed the child we never had, or we no longer had. And there remained a hole in my heart and in our family. My husband died suddenly. He was quite young. And that loss brought back the pain of missing our child that we never really knew. I tried to keep the abortion a secret so as to not further hurt my children. When I became involved with Silent No More, Georgette told me that on some level they likely already knew. I loathed the idea of hurting them more, but I trusted that the truth would lead to healing, and it has. As long as I kept the abortion a secret, it had control over us. My 2 younger girls attended my Rachel's Vineyard healing mass, and I shared a letter I wrote to their aborted brother, Robert Joseph. At the end, they embraced me and let me know how sorry they were and how much they loved me. I thought I'd been protecting them with my silence, but I realized I'd been trying to protect myself from judgment, rejection, from being deemed unlovable in their eyes. The shockwaves of my abortion affected everyone in our family. One of my older daughters, Katie, shares this. The hardest part for me growing up as a sibling of an aborted baby was watching you struggle without understanding what was going on. There was always lots of crying, feelings of guilt, withdrawal. I didn't know what it was about Mom. But the silver lining was that abortion was never even a consideration when I became pregnant. It was unthinkable after what I know it did to all of us. In fact, my 2 oldest grandchildren are here. Although unexpected, their moms both chose to life over abortion. Yay. So yeah, thank you. I want to also quickly share a note from my youngest daughter, Courtney, who shares this with her permission. Obviously, I had very mixed emotions when you told us of your abortion. Part of me wondered what it would have been like to have had another sibling. Part of me wondered, if you'd had that baby, would you still have had me? I definitely thought about how things would be different, especially because you knew it was a boy. I wondered how it would have been to have a brother when I was used to only sisters. I wondered what he would have looked like. Would he have looked like Daddy? I tried to think of what I would look like as a boy, just to imagine him. I think that it would have been nice to have had another part of you and Daddy in my life. But mostly, I knew how that decision and action changed your life and broke your heart, and I hated it. After you explained your decision to us, I understood where you were coming from, and I know in that time you felt that you had nowhere else to turn and no other options. I hate imagining you in that situation, feeling so helpless and alone. Sorry. I know that you felt like you had nowhere else to turn and had no other options. I hated feeling that you were so helpless and alone in that situation. But knowing what happened opened my eyes to why you are who you are. And it made me understand you so much more than I ever had. I finally understood that it wasn't just about disagreeing with abortions or the idea of abortions. It was the fact that you didn't want anyone to feel as you had, or to suffer how you have since you made that choice. The truth is, Courtney goes on to say, is that decision you made so many years ago, has it affected my life? Yes. Can I tell you exactly how? No. I have no idea how things would have been, and it's hard for me to imagine, so I often don't think about it. But I'm so glad you told me. It's brought us closer, and I share with all those who consider abortion as an option the truth of the deep regret and the damage abortion brings to all involved. So the shockwaves of my abortion continue, but the healing of God and truth changes pain to acceptance, and yes, in some aspects, even thankfulness and joy. And that's why I am silent no more.